Hi there, it's me, Miss Letterberg, and I am super glad to see you here this evening. I am going to do the active read introduction for the last sermon of Muhammad. Now, as you know, Muhammad is the last prophet. He is the person who contained and got the information from Allah to create this new faith called Islam. He is the one that led his people on the Hijra. He is the one who encouraged people to go on a jihad, to struggle for themselves and to struggle for their faith. And at the very end of his life, he writes this very last sermon. Now, a sermon really just means a conversation, or maybe even a speech. It's nothing fancy. But what you do need to know is, what does he say in that last very special sermon? So today we are going to make me tiny, and we are going to shove me over here, and we are going to talk about the last sermon of Muhammad. Now, in typical fashion, don't forget to put a text box up here. Put your name in the text box, Letterberg, or your name. And of course, we don't want to forget that we need to circle Miss Letterberg's name because she is awesome and Mr. Herman is a dork. Okay, new text box, focus. So we need to define what is our focus for reading or our purpose for reading for this particular document. Well, we know that it's called the last sermon of Muhammad. So if we were going to form that into a question, we would say, what does the last sermon of Muhammad, question mark. That's really what we want to know. What's he trying to tell us? This is his last words to his people. So we definitely need to look through those and see what we're looking for. In this particular active read, you will notice that at the very end, there are 3 questions. So we want to read those in just a second to help us before we start to read. But in our key, need a new text box. Text box, there we go. Okay, so I definitely want to underline or highlight or focus or purpose. And I want in this whole document, okay, I want to have 3 connections. 3 connections. And how do we make connections? We use either a text box or a comment box. So a text box or comment box or a connection. And I would like 3 images. Okay, so for this particular document, I want you to underline or highlight. I want 3 connections. I want 3 images. And then, of course, we have the 3 questions here at the end. So let's look at these questions before we start to read so that we understand what we're looking for. So question 1 says this. Muhammad closes and opens his sermon with what command? Well, first of all, you have to know that the word command means that he's telling you to do something. So, what should his followers do? That's our first question. In paragraph 3, read between the lines. Now, that's strange right there, read between the lines. What we're saying is Mohammed's not going to come out and tell you it. He wants you to figure it out. He wants you to use context clues to figure out what he means. So in paragraph 3, read between the lines. How were women treated by many men in Arabia? And what makes you say this? And in the third and final question is, in paragraph 4, what are the 5 duties that what are the 5 duties? What 5 duties? Oh my goodness. you would not believe that it's 6:15 at night. In paragraph 4, what 5 duties does Muhammad command all of the followers of Islam? So we have 3 questions that we're trying to answer. So let's go back up to the top and let's start with the beginning. Now, remember, he is saying these words to his people. So imagine Muhammad is standing before a giant crowd of people, and he is going to say these final words to his people. This is his final opportunity to tell people what he thinks and to tell people what they need to do. So let's read. O people, lend me an attentive ear, for I don't know whether, after this year, I shall ever be amongst you again. Therefore, listen to what I'm saying to you carefully, and take these words to those who could not be present here today. So far, we got Muhammad, and in his opening statement, he says that we need to do what? We need to listen. So I'm going to find my little add media, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to find, nope, that's not what I wanted. Go in here and find an ear. Oh, and I found an ear. I'm going to insert an ear. And this is going to be my first image. Okay, he wants us to listen to what he's saying. Now, remember, last sermon of Muhammad, what is he trying to say? He says this, and we're going to highlight this. Mark up, highlight, right here. Oh, that didn't work right. Okay, highlight here. There we go. Okay, so his actual thing that he's saying to people is, I need you to go tell everybody else what I'm saying here today. That's why we're still reading it. Somebody clearly wrote it down and said, I need to tell somebody this. So Muhammad is actually saying, you need to go out and tell other people about this. Now, if I was thinking about a sermon or somebody who's like giving a speech that we all need to remember, this might be a connection to me. Might not be a connection to you, but would definitely be a connection to me. So my connection here is Muhammad speech is like let's go with Abraham Lincoln. Okay, if you remember, Abraham Lincoln gives a speech called the Gettysburg Address. And he wants everybody to know about his special message. This is similar to what Muhammad is doing here. He's saying, listen, I got these special words for you. You need to pay attention and you need to go tell everybody. Okay, so here's what he says. O people, just as you regard this month, this day, this city as sacred. What's our sacred city? You know, it's Mecca. This city as sacred, so regard the life and property of every Muslim as a sacred trust. Return the goods entrusted to you to their rightful owners. Hurt no one, so that no one may hurt you. Remember that you will indeed meet your Lord, and that he will indeed reckon your deeds. Beware of Satan for your safety of your religion. He has lost all hope that he will ever be able to lead you astray in big things. So beware of small things. Got a lot of stuff here, guys. A lot of stuff to write down. Okay, so we got this sacred, sacred, sacred. The first thing that we need to do is go up here to markup. We need to make sure that we highlight. So the first thing is We need to regard the life and property of every Muslim as a sacred trust. That means if you get something or you borrow something from someone, that is so important. They're trusting it to you, and you need to take it seriously. He also says, hurt no one so that no one will hurt you. Sounds very familiar. Wonder what connection we could make there. I'm going to put a text box in here, or better yet, I'm going to put a comment box note thing right here, and I better see somebody fill this in because this one is very evident. You know, we have talked about this before, so you need to find out where that goes. He also says, remember that you will indeed meet your Lord and that he will indeed reckon your deeds. So someday you're going to heaven. And if that's the case, you need to make sure that you do not mess up. Okay, so we're going to go up here to markup. We're going to say, beware of following him in the small things. Now, I want to put a little bit of information in here about this because I think that this is a little unclear. So I'm going to put a little text box over here. I'm going to say, be careful of the little sins. These are not the big sins. We know big sins. What Muhammad is saying is you need to be careful of those tiny little sins, those little sins that grow and grow and grow and grow into bigger things. So far, we have something that you need to add here. I'm going to write here something here. Okay, so we know what he's saying so far. Okay, he goes on. Oh, people, it is true that you have certain rights with regard to your women, but they also have rights over you. If they abide by your right, then to them belongs the right to be fed and clothed in kindness. Do treat your women well and be kind to them, for they are your partners and committed helpers. And it is your right that they do not make friends with anyone of whom you do not approve, as well, never to commit adultery. Here goes back to our question down here. You have to read between the lines. What's Muhammad saying about women? Not going to tell you. You got to figure it out on your own. You need to tell me what is going on here. Are there things that we need to underline? Are there images or things that we need to highlight here? You got to figure that out. Going to read the next paragraph for you. Going to keep reading because I think it's easier to understand if I read it out loud. Next paragraph says, "O people, listen to me in earnest. Worship Allah. Say your 5 daily prayers. Fast during the month of Ramadan. Give your wealth in zakat. Perform Hajj if you can afford to. You know that every Muslim is a brother of another Muslim. You are all equal. Nobody has superiority over others except by piety and good action." Now, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to mark up this. I'm going to choose a different color. I'm going to highlight this word piety right here. You know why? Because I need you to write here somewhere what the definition of that is. What is he saying here about piety? What does that mean? You need to figure that out. Continuing on. Remember, one day you will appear before Allah and answer for your deeds. Be aware, do not astray from the path of righteousness after I am gone. O people, no prophet or apostle will come after me, and no new faith will be born. Reason well, therefore, O people, and understand my words which I convey to you. I leave behind me 2 things, the Quran and my example. Now, we've talked about the Quran, so you know what that is. So he's saying that he's leaving behind some things for the people so that they can continue to follow his footsteps. Last paragraph. All those who listen to me shall pass on my words to others, and those to others again. And may the last ones understand my words better than those who listen to me directly. Be my witness, O Allah, that I have conveyed your message to your people. So, if you notice here, one of the things that we've been talking about when we work with our argumentative essays is that we start with a hook and we come back to the hook in the end. If you notice what Muhammad did here, he started with something special and then he came back to it at the end. It's a great way, it's a great technique, a great tactic for getting people to listen to what you're saying. Your job is to continue to actively read this, to answer these 3 questions, and then to submit it to me for grading. Please make sure you understand that this is worth 30 points. You need to take your time. You may need to look up some words to understand it, but that's okay. You can do this. I have confidence in you. I hope to see you soon. And as always, if you need anything, you know where we are. Have a nice night.